Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here. Actually, tonight with a special guest co-host is the true brain, the man that knows everything, everyone, and anything to do with comics, Mr. JC Vaughn. How we doing tonight, brother?
Good evening, Nile. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm
really excited about tonight's guest, and I know Billy's going to be joining us in a little bit. But through various means, such as snail mail and review copies, up through the age of email and so on, I have known or at least interacted with our guest tonight for more years than I care to mention.
Well, then I would say with that opening you just did right now, without further ado, JC Vaughn, why don't we introduce our guest?
Our guest is Roland Mann. He is a writer, editor, and college professor, among other things. How you doing, Roland?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing good, Roland. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you for having me here. And yes, I have known you for a long, long time, JC.
Saturday, I will have been at Gemstone for 25 years, and it predates that.
It does predate that. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear you say a little bit earlier that you were in New York, because I just assumed that you were kind of in the sort of the Baltimore area.
I spent about 13 years there. I moved there from Texas, and moved up here to New York. Rosina and I did the long distance thing for way longer than we should have.
Yeah,
and
no fun.
No fun. And no drama involved either. And Steve Jeppy was, really gracious.
Yeah.
And let me do this. And it was before a lot of people worked at a distance, or everybody, as the case is right now. So that's how I got here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So you want me to tell you my Billy story?
Yeah, so
I think that we should, before Billy comes in, I think this would be a great opportunity for that.
So this goes back to probably, and I may have the dates a little bit wrong. Someone who knows Billy's career better than me can probably answer this. This was probably around 92 or 93, probably 93. And yes, JC does know everyone in the industry.
First, San Diego was, I think he scouted it out in 93. So I met him in 94. So you're probably right on by saying 93.
Okay, so this was pre-She. All right.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Oh yeah, definitely. Then that's good.
I was at Malibu at the time, and I was an editor there, working on the Ultraverse titles. And Chris Ulm comes into my office and drops me these photocopies of a penciler's work, and it was Billy. And he says, we need to find this guy some work. Of course, I looked through it, and it looks pretty good. What do you want me to, you got any ideas, Chris? Can I? And of course, editors are always trying to create new stuff. So I'm like, hey, how about I get a new book? I get this guy. And he goes, no, we can't make new books. And so I was like, okay, so who do you want me to fire then? He goes, I don't want you to fire anybody. So you just told me I need to find him work. I have these books. You won't let me create a new one, and you don't want me to fire anybody. What do you want me to do, Chris? I can't do anything. I mean, I love Chris Holmes, so I'm not speaking ill of him, but he was like, we need to find him some work. And of course, if you know Chris, he just made this, just kind of this, and turned around and walked out like, you exasperate me. But the truth was, Chris kind of saw his work and said, I want to find work for him. The problem was, he came to me and it's like, I don't have a thing to give him. What do you want me to do? And so it wasn't long, and I don't know the exact time, but it wasn't long after that she hit the world. And of course, Chris Ulm comes back to one of our editorial meetings, not just me, but he told all of us, see, I told you. We're like, well, Chris, I asked you to let us create a new book for the guy. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the head motion. I've seen that so many times.
From Chris?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He very frequently... Tom Mason, Dave Ulrich, and I have a regular lunch at San Diego.
Oh, sweet!
And it really is. It's my favorite thing in the whole show. Quite honestly, I told Dave the other day that if I flew in from New York, had lunch with them, turned around and came home, it would be fine, because it's a tradition now. So, and Alma's been there many years, and I've seen that head bob.
Yes, they are. To me, they are the heart of Malibu, and they're part of the reason that I look back on that era in my life as part of my favorite time in comics is when I was with Malibu.
Yeah, for me starting out, I was was right in the heart of transitioning from being a fan to working.
Yeah.
And Tom was just, I started writing him fan letters for Dinosaurs for Hire.
Yep.
The first series, the black and white series, every alternate issue has a letter from me in it.
If I'm not mistaken, we sent you preview copies.
Oh yeah, and then I was on the fun part for me was I was on the fan advisory network for the Ultraverse.
Right.
And so that's cool. Fan advisory network, aka Fan.
And
then I go to work at Overstreet's Fan.
I never thought about that. How cool.
Yeah. And it really was a great time. Right now, I'm doing a lot of research on Milestone,
cool,
and reading a lot of stuff. A lot of it I had read, when it came out. But I've also been doing little bits, like I bought a new set of Firearm the other day, and read those. And thank goodness, I really wanted to watch the video, and thank goodness it was on YouTube. Firearm Zero video. Yeah.
And the Malibu commercials are the
Ultraverse commercials are great. Yeah. And then I got to say, it was a real honor to me that I got to be the moderator for the Malibu the Ultraverse 25th anniversary panel at San Diego.
So bad.
It was so good. You've seen, I've posted a few photos, and other people have too.
Oh, I watched the whole video with
of the thing. And I was geeked out because, I realized in terms of my life, it's a very small window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of its importance to me as a fan and then as a professional, it was huge, man. So let's enough about me though, man. Let's talk about you and your stuff. How did you get to Malibu?
Yeah, so I started off as a freelance writer in the late 80s. I came in as part of the big independent boom. Thank you, Turtles. There was the huge boom then, and we tried to. So this is how backwoods my beginnings are. So Stephen Butler and I met Stephen Butler in college. Stephen had a roommate who was Mitch Bird. We kind of all three. Yep. We all three got together and put some things together, which ended up being Cat and Mouse, and then a book called Silverstorm. Well, we thought, hey, the Turtles can do it, and all these other companies can do it. We can do it too. And so we did our books. We formed our company. If you go back and look in the catalog solicitations, you'll see. I want to say I can't remember the exact year, but I want to say it's in '88 in May. You'll see Top Comics has solicited for a book called Cat and Mouse. We got our solicitations, and this is, when there were still about a dozen distributors. We got all the orders back. Our orders were about 4,400 copies, something like that. We were excited. A black and white book, 4,400 copies. And then we're like, man, now we got to go get it printed. What do we do now? Well, we were in college. We didn't have that kind of money. I kid you not. We were in Hattiesburg, Mississippi at the time. So Stephen and I took our orders, went down to the bank, and then we said, hey, we want to get a loan to pay for the printing for this comic book. And now the reaction was about the same at all 12 banks we visited, but essentially they said this. Now, you know where I'm going, JC. A comic book, we ain't giving no loan for no now, I love Mississippi, okay? We ain't giving no loan for no comic book before. Can you use a tractor with that? No, we don't need a tractor. We just need money so we can pay the printer. They're going to print books. They're going to ship them out. And then those people that get them are going to pay us back. And we're going to get more money than you're loaning us. So it's all good. I don't know about that there, boys. Maybe if you wanted a tractor, I might could help you out with that. But no, we ain't never made no loan for no comic books before. We hit every bank in Hattiesburg, and basically it was the same story. So we were like, well, we don't know what to do now. So we canceled all the orders, took our photocopies, and we had like 3 issues done at the time, and Mitch was already penciling like issue number 5. I can't remember exactly what it was. So we sent copies out everywhere, and immediately EF Graphics picked us up. And this didn't take but like a couple of weeks. EF Graphics then solicited for 1989, put out 1 color edition, and then proceeded to go belly up. So we're like, dadgummit, here we are again, right? So we take the color copy, we take the printed copy that was out, and then we take all the photocopies and send them out to a select few independent companies. We targeted like First and Innovation. Who was Campedi's group at the time?
That was innovation.
Yeah, that was innovation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Malibu. And about 2 weeks later, we hadn't heard from anybody. So, I'm getting anxious thinking, we got this book and it's ready to go. I'm going to call. And so I called the first one on my list, which was Malibu. And Tom Mason picked up the phone. Where are you at? How come you... Don't you know when you send a submission in, you're supposed to leave a phone number? And I'm like, good. No. Okay. He goes, yeah, we want to do your book. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, let's get it happen. So immediately it happened. All right. So that's kind of how I got in with Malibu. And over the next couple of years, I began to meet a lot of folks like in Louisiana and Alabama, and they all kind of had the same desire as me. They wanted to work in comics, but none of them wanted to move to New York City. I mean, I don't want to live in a city. I like my country living.
I live in New York, and I don't want to live in New York.
Yeah, I know. So I began to package, and that's how Silverline was first born. Is that we began to put these little packages together. We'd create, and what I didn't know at the time is I was essentially freelance editing, freelance agenting. Mm-hmm. So we'd get a writer, and an art team, and we'd send that to Malibu, and that's what we did. We did some stuff for Caliber as well. And
what do you do for Caliber?
We did Cray, and we did the Scary Book. I think there was one more.
It's funny that doesn't register for me in your trail of comics. It's amazing. I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, I didn't do it. We didn't do it. Malibu. It was the probably 70% of all or more of all the stuff that we did. But yeah, mm-hmm. I loved Gary. Gary is always very, very gracious and nice to me. And I did some stuff for him. Silverline did as well. And so in 91, I had submitted a couple of pitches to Malibu, and for like the year and a half that I had been working with them, we'd had established this great relationship, and the responses began to be a little weird. And so I just picked up the phone and I said, "Hey Tom, what's going on?" He said, "Hey, look, Chris is going to be in Atlanta next year. Why don't you have a sit down with him? Or next week, next month, something like that." So at Dragon Con, Chris Allman and I sat down and I said, "Hey, so what's going up, Chris? What's going on?" He said, we're cutting back on our use of freelancers. I said, "Oh, that explains why you guys haven't been answering me so quick." He goes, "Yeah, but we're getting ready to build an in-house staff." He said, "You wouldn't want to leave your beloved Southland and move to California, would you?" And I said, "Well, not really, but if you're telling me that I'm not going to get any work from you guys, then yeah, I mean, at least make me an offer and let me turn it down." The very next week, they called, made me an offer, and I took it, and I moved to California and became an editor for the Protectors. And that's how I got in with those guys.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So how long were you at Malibu?
Say again?
How long were you at Malibu?
So I was at Malibu from 91 until Marvel shut it down in 96.
Gotcha.
So
can you guys hear an echo?
Echo from you, Billy.
It'll go away. It's just it's StreamYard right now. There's so many streams going on right now. It's just
really are like people at home for some reason.
Yeah.
Corner.
There are people home right now.
200. Oh, it's off.
Yeah.
Hey, Roland, how are you, buddy?
What's up, Billy? How you doing, man?
Doing great. I think you actually contacted me and gave me my first potential work ever. It was a Protectors cover.
There you go.
With the ferret, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it was never used as a cover. And I remember
I wasted your time.
This goes back to my story where Chris Olm said, "Find him some work." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll get him to do a cover." Do you still have that cover, Billy?
Somewhere I do. I'm sure, unless I mailed it into you guys.
I'm sure you did that, but I was going to say, if you've got a photocopy, there's this rabid Ultraverse Malibu group on Facebook that I'm sure they'd love to see something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm part of that, so we absolutely would.
I am too.
I have in my sketchbook. You know what's so funny? You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I think in my sketchbook.
Roland, do you like comics?
Yeah.
Do you like comics, Roland? Do you like comics?
I do. I like those funny books.
So let me ask you though, what inspired you into comics? Like what were you reading growing up, or when did you get into it? Was it early, late?
It was it was early for me. I was 7 years old. I was a kid who was behind all the other kids in school. And I had zero interest in school at all. Again, I'm
Mhm.
from the sort of a country suburban boy. I would go to school, I would come home, and I would just want to go outside and play, throw dirt clods, shoot my BB gun, play, my GI Joes. I did not want to read or study or do any of that, and so I was beginning to fall behind in school. And my mom, bless her, she was seeking ways to counteract that. And one day, you know how kids can be. One day, I always went grocery shopping with my mom. And one day, standing in the grocery store, this is when comics were available to everybody, to everywhere, right? I saw an Avengers comic, and I said, "I want that, Mom! I want that, Mom! I want that!" Of course, my mom, in her brilliance, I can almost see it now. It's you go ding. She said, "I'll buy this for you on one condition." And of course, anything, Mom, anything. Yeah, well, anything. She said, "You got to read it, and you got to tell me what you read." I'm like, "Okay, Mom, yeah, absolutely." So she bought it. I was introduced to a whole host of characters that I didn't know, had never heard of. Captain America was on the operating table, and I didn't know why he was there and why they were so concerned about him. And so I told her the story, and I said, "But Mama, I need the next one because I don't know what happens to Captain America." And she says, "Well, I'll make the same deal with you. I'll buy that one for you. You read it, and you tell me about it." And so I got addicted to comics. And
God bless your mom, man. That's
God bless my
That's
mom.
awesome.
The comics really taught me to read. I went from not being like 2 grade levels reading behind all my classmates to being like a grade level ahead of them in the span of about a year, because comic writers introduced me to these weird words that I didn't hear of anywhere else. And Kurt Wagner was talking in German, and I'm like, "What is this? I need to know what this is." He would just drop these German words. But
great. It's a great thing. Jim Shooter talks about learning the word bouillabaisse.
Yeah.
I got and that was from Carl Barks. I got bravado from Stan.
Yeah.
And I think that these were great things. And my mom was like, "Oh, that's good. Here's a dictionary."
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a great lesson.
Absolutely.
So how did you grow that to where you were getting to be a guy doing comics? What were the interim steps?
So it just for me, it felt like kind of a natural thing. As I went through school, I kept my love for comics. And even on into middle school and junior high and high school, I still loved comics. And I found, as most creative people do, that I was mimicking. I wanted to do this because it was so cool. Yeah. And so I found that I was mimicking the comics that I would read, and my art was terrible, right? But I was drawing like the Flash versus Quicksilver, and then they would blam, run into each other, and one of them gets up, and it was Quicksilver because I was a Marvel
kid, of course, yeah. Niall, was it sort of the same for you? Your impulse in this? Was it you grew up as a fan and you transitioned to doing that? Because I think that's a pretty common story.
It was a similar story for me, even with my mom. I was a slow reader from the beginning, but drawing, she says, you were 2 years old, you discovered crayons, and she goes, "You wouldn't watch TV." She goes, "For you didn't watch TV, you just drew." And then, as I got the comic books, I would read. She'd ask me what I read. But then for me, the comics were more like a cool anatomy lesson. And then I would use that to draw. And I taught myself my drawing skill and all that stuff by trying to recreate what, actually a lot of the guys I get to interview now, what they did.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I have all those books still.
Do you really?
I do. And they are read, but I won't get, obviously I'm not going to get rid of them because that's like part of my education in a way, my self-education.
Of course.
So they just, it's good to see them worn out, drawn in, my stupid little notes. Making up muscle names.
It really is. It's genuine. It's genuinely cool.
The back bicep, I used to call it. I need to define the back bicep better.
Yeah.
So
that's really good.
Roland, what did you do? That you said you were in college when you guys did those. When you did those books.
Yes.
What did you do? Say your late teenage years. Were you still drawing and doing stuff?
I was. Yeah, I was actually, because I was the only person I knew who had any remote interest in making comics, right? I mean, I I had friends who liked comics, but they didn't.
Yeah, you're always the one, right? Yeah.
Yes, right. And so, but I was that guy who was like, "You're my roommate. Why don't you color these? You can color. Come on, color these." Because I was, I wanted to draw, but I was too impatient to be an artist. I couldn't, I could never. I mean, if I spent an hour on a page, that was way too long for me. I got story to tell. I had to give it out. And of course, later on, I learned that artists spend 4 or 5, 6 hours to pencil a page. I'm like, yeah, I don't have the patience for that. But yeah, so I was always trying to recruit people that I knew. None of them wanted to do it, but I was always trying to recruit them. And it wasn't until I got into college then I started meeting guys who actually had some real art chops. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. We should team up. And again, this was, early 80s. So I can't, Turtles was what, 86?
84.
Yeah, around there.
84.
Yeah, 84. Yeah.
Okay. So it was right about the same time I'm meeting these artists that this independent boom is happening.
Yeah.
And so, the independent boom was very encouraging to me because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to step into Marvel and DC. I know that. So, but I can do these other comics because this is like the minor leagues, right? And I can go play in the minor leagues for a while and ultimately then go and work for Marvel. So every time I met an artist, I asked them, "Hey, you like comics?"
It's really good. Now, what's great about the period you're talking about. We come out of the early 80s, which saw, the aftermath of Pacific.
Yeah.
Which was, essential for creator ownership. And then we've got First Comics and Comico and Eclipse, which a lot of company-owned titles in there, but also creator-owned stuff. And then Eclipse, which is more creator-owned stuff. And then to the black and white boom that you're starting about. And it was so bloody egalitarian for about a year and a half there, where anybody who said, "I know, we'll put on a show," could have a comic, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much like the process you described.
Right.
Okay, so through that you go to the Ultraverse. You're involved with some really great creators there, doing some cool stuff, and Marvel buys Malibu and ends up shutting it down.
Yeah.
What happened next for you?
Well, I spent probably a month being incredibly depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was where I had always wanted to be, essentially. I was working I was surrounded by comic book people. I was surrounded by, as you said, some iconic names that I got to work with. Meeting people like Billy as they're on the start of their careers. I was exactly where I wanted to be, and so it was very depressing when that happened. But fortunately, I'm married to a wife who wouldn't let me dwell in it very long. She just finally said, "You got to get out and do something." So I decided, you know what? You're right. I know how to do this stuff now. I have knowledge now that I didn't have in 1988 when I tried to self-publish my own stuff, right? With the guy. So I'm going to go do it. So I resurrected the Silverline name, and I started publishing. I started publishing in the late 90s, black and white comics. Under the Silverline banner. Of course, anyone who knows the history of comics knows that was a horrible time to get started. I lost a lot of money because, the late 90s comic book crash.
Yeah.
But yeah, from 1997 to about 2001, I published about 13 different comics. Had a blast doing it, but I lost a lot of money.
And what brought you back to it? Was it crowdfunding?
Funny story. So I left in 2001. I just said, the industry is in such bad shape. I can't afford to just throw money. My wife's she was the one making the money and I was spending it all. And she's like, no, you can't do that anymore. She's like, if you can't break even, you can't do it. So I went back to school, started teaching, and which is what I still do now. I teach at the university. But around 2008, I was doing some research for my class. I was using Huckleberry Finn in my English class, and I was doing some research, and I stumbled across a website that said, "We need someone to write a graphic novel adaptation of Huckleberry Finn." And I'm like, really? Because it's like my all-time favorite novel. I'm like,
Mine too. Yeah.
So I listen, I kid you not, I sent off this email that was so terrible. If I'd have gotten it, I would have emailed back, go away, right? But I'm like, yeah, I worked in comics. I can do this if you want me to, whatever. You know, I can't remember these. They emailed me back within a day. It was an Indian company, like from India, right? They emailed me back in a day. Oh, we'd love to have you do it. I'm like, really? Okay, that was easy. Excuse me. So I did. So I wrote them an adaptation of Huckleberry Finn. And it was an 80-page, adaptation. And I'm like, that was fun. That's right. Comics they're fun, aren't they? I forgot they're fun. And so I just said, hey, you got another one? And like, yeah, here's our list. So I did one of the Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they actually hired me to be a consultant for them to help them get their editorial staff in order. And they had hired Howard Mackey at about the same time. So then I worked for them for about 10 months as an editorial consultant. And when it was all done, I'm like, yeah, I'm teaching now, but I think I'll do comics on the side again. And that's kind of how I got back into it.
We can see the poster behind you for Tiny.
Yep.
Was that the first one you kickstarted, or?
It's the first one that I successfully kickstarted.
Okay.
I did try one before that, and I learned a lot of mistakes made. I think my biggest mistake, because I know this is crowdfunding, I think my biggest mistake for me personally is my book wasn't finished. I went to Kickstarter with the idea that I need the money to make the book, and then in 6 months from now I'll deliver the product to you, and that didn't work.
It works for famous people like Billy.
What's that?
It works for famous people like Billy.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the famous guys, yeah, they can do that.
4
right?
months, buddy. 4 months. Come on.
Listen, we won't mention any names, but there's some people who I like, some creators that I like, some big names that are on Kickstarter that I've been waiting for like 2 years for their books. And I'm like,
we kind of got that beat, don't we? Nile and I have a couple of books that are a little bit longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't think they're ever going to come out.
Well, no, books we're waiting for, not books we're putting out.
Oh,
yeah. No, books we're waiting for. I've got
books we're waiting for from creators.
Yeah. I was actually looking at what I backed, and one of I think I have one that's 4.5 years.
It was affected. It was one of them was affected by the Y2K thing.
Yeah.
So the first Kickstarter I ever pledged to was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for that one.
Yeah, that's great.
Now I'm a super backer now, and I've gotten lots of good comics, right? Lots of good product that I have backed. But yeah, the first one, it was called the Bird something. The guy had a really cool style.
One of the things that I'd like to recommend for anybody that's on Kickstarter as opposed to Indiegogo is following Roland and seeing what he backs. His tastes are eclectic, and he's had a lot of. Like he just said, he backs a lot of stuff, but he's backed a lot of cool stuff too. Yeah. And even while I'm not in the position to do it right now, I have found a lot of cool stuff because of what you've backed. And I also follow Jimmy Palmiotti and a few other people too. Yeah. But people who are genuinely seeking that creative spirit that Nile and Billy talk about very regularly on this show. Yeah. You're plugged in, man. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that I could direct you to some books. I am pretty particular about what I back, and I'll tell you one of the things that bothers me on Kickstarter, and I get it, I totally do, but I get these messages that say, "Hey, I'll back your Kickstarter if you back mine," and my response to them is always, look, I appreciate it, I understand what you're trying to do. If you think my Kickstarter has value, I would be honored for you to back it. But I'm not going to swap pledges with you. I'm not going to swap backs with you. It just that's not why I'm doing it. I want you to do it because you want the book. And I like to think that, the stuff that Silverline is doing is good stuff. And if you don't think so, that's fine. I think somebody else will. But I don't want you to back it just so that I'll back yours.
I think that's a great approach. Cat and Mouse was a lot of fun. That may be the last one I backed.
Well, that was your last campaign before Kalis, right?
Yeah, but that was number 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that was number 2.
No, I was number 1, and it was just it took me back so quickly, and yet it was a really cool new version of it.
Yeah.
But so anyhow, I know we're short on time here, so we should talk about Caleb's right now.
Yeah, so let's get into Caleb's. I mean, what's this next, your latest book that you have here on Kickstarter that you're publishing?
Yeah, so this is the second issue of Caleb's. We successfully crowdfunded the first one last year. It's written and created by Brent T. Larson, and he's got a pretty superb art team. I think a couple of Argentinians. Louis Czerniowski is the guy who's doing the pencils and inks for it, and a guy named Leandro Huerga is coloring. And man, the colors I see
looks great.
Great colors this issue are just out of sight. Very, very, very cool. The guy's super talented. And the weird thing is, I don't know anything else that these guys have done, but these names should be known by other people. But the basic concept is this: it's very much science fiction, government conspiracy with a little bit of superheroics thrown in. In the 1960s, the CIA sends astronauts into space, and then they lose them. And they just can't find them. And then today, one of them, Scott Anders, who is the protagonist of the story, falls to Earth in a ball of flame, leaves a big crater, and gets up completely unscathed. And
just like Jerry Tucci.
Not dissimilar. That's right.
Yeah. I'm friends with that Jerry Tucci on Facebook. But
I know you are. Thank you. Well, not that I really care about it, but thank you.
He always sends me random pictures through Messenger.
I hope they're not of his butt.
He's a rascal.
Not his butt.
Rascal, Billy. That's the nicest thing I've heard you say in quite a while.
I know.
But so for fans of original art, there's still some.
Oh golly, look at that! Those are great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's funny. One of our reward levels is a retro version. Of course, when I say retro, I mean 1980s independent comics, black and white. And after Lewis got his copies, I guess he didn't know we were going to do it, but I sent him his copies, and he got them. He goes, "I love this retro version." I'm like, "Of course you do. It's a black and white. It's your work."
That's killer. And I know you did that on Cat and Mouse too, and I love that version. It was beautiful.
Yeah, so this is, there's a lot of fun to do, and there's a lot of people I know who are like me, and they're fans of the line art. I could spend hours looking. I really love pencil work, but I could spend hours looking at line art. And I'm of the opinion that today a lot of modern comics are overcolored. There's too much there, and they cover up so much of the artwork. And I want to see the lines. I want to see, how the inker feathers his brush. I like to see those kind of things.
There's a few exceptions to what you're saying.
Yes, of course.
Like if you look at Greg Land, his line work is beautiful, but it's really minimal. But this is a guy who knows what the colorist is supposed to do for him.
Right.
Yeah. And that's like probably an exception. But there's a lot of guys who are getting obliterated by colorists because they're such a powerful tool these days.
Yeah.
Well, they can make your pencils look really good.
Not mine.
Who a perfect example of how to do it right, I feel, is Mike and Laura Allred.
Yeah.
Very collaborative.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. And his lines, and you see all his lines. It doesn't overpower. A lot of it's flats, even, and it just works. It just works incredible.
Yeah, and I think that for me, that's one of my problems of not all, but a lot of modern comics. They're just overcolored. So yeah, Caleb's, I think it's a fun book. It's not tights. It's not. I don't have anything against tights. I love tights, but it's not tights and capes. But the protagonist again falls to Earth. We've got to figure out, as he's figuring it out, and as the people are around him, we've got to figure out what's happened, to him and to the other astronauts since the 1960s, and why is the CIA trying to cover all this stuff up? So
that sounds great.
Yeah, it's
as I've got a question for you. Is print copies of #1 available with supporting this one?
Yes, they are. Yes, we have specific levels that say basically if you miss #2, here's your level for that you can still get your Kickstarter number. I'm sorry, if you miss #1, here's your Kickstarter level where you can still get #1 with your Kickstarter version of #2.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because we know there's a lot of people who, weren't able or didn't see or weren't able to get the first one. And so I know comic book readers well enough to know that if they can't get number one, many of them won't get number two. So, and I don't blame them. I'm that way too. I'm like, yeah, number two, I missed number one. I need it. So yeah, it's definitely available.
All right, excellent. So you got 4 days to go. You got 57 backers right now. So guys, if you can, help, if this is your thing, back it. Otherwise, if you can, like we always say, it's always helpful to just share on your social medias, share on your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagrams, and help spread the word. There's 4 days to go. Help them get as much as they can get. And Roland, do you guys sell outside of this? I mean, do you, obviously not at this point in time with conventions and things, but do you set up, a booth at conventions where you have the books you're publishing, or is it up to the creators at that point that they're just, doing their thing with the books?
Well, I mean, obviously, because Silverline is small press, we depend on both. Whenever I go to shows, I carry the Silverline titles so that they're available for anyone who happens to stumble upon us. So I sell them at shows. We make them available on Indie Planet. As you can see, I'm flying my printer's flag today, Kablam, who is actually still operational. I got books from them yesterday, so they're still printing. Good. So yeah, if you're a printer, if you're a comic book maker and your printer shut down and you need something, try them out. Highly recommend the guys. They print good books. I would like to add one more thing to those who are listening and considering Kalis. The book is done. It's finished. I could literally go to print with it tonight.
Perfect.
Awesome. The only thing that I don't, there's two things that I don't have finished yet. One of them is the thank you page, right? Obviously, campaign's not over, so I don't have that finished yet. And then the other one is the inside front cover, which is where I usually ask the writer to write me a little introduction. Brent has not written that yet, but that's the only thing I need. But yeah, all the interior is done, and we can go to press. We will go to press with it as soon as we get our funds from Kickstarter.
We had a couple comments, Nile. Did you see that? A couple people really recommended it.
Oh yeah,
good.
Yep. We've got Oven Rays here. I'm looking forward to having an original cover Kalis #1. I only have the DBCC exclusive. First world comic fan prowess. And I actually have a question I want to go back to before we head on over to our next guest. But Harrenberg had a good question, and I need to find it here.
Was it there we go. That's
yes.
a question.
If Roland, why are the Malibu characters not used by Marvel? Is it because they would owe royalties to the characters' creators?
They would, but that's not why they're not being used.
It's a much smaller royalty than it's not a lot bigger than a standard Marvel royalty would be.
No, it's not. That's a really deep question, and there are a lot of there's a lot of fake news out there about the whole Malibu Marvel thing. The biggest one, of course, is that Marvel bought Malibu for the coloring process, which is absolutely false. But Marvel is not using those characters because of royalties. They could easily figure out how to. They've got this huge accounting department, right? Malibu had a tiny accounting department. They could figure out those royalties. There are deeper reasons. And
it doesn't involve. As I understand it, it does not involve comics themselves.
No, it involves personalities.
Yes. Now, I would like to say there has been a crack in that dam.
With Topaz?
No, with Rune.
Oh,
this is the Rune HeroClix.
Oh, the HeroClix, yeah.
We went nuts. I don't play HeroClix, but I went online and spent $10 to get this because I'm such an Ultraverse fan. And Tom Mason and Dave Ulrich and I are all emailing and texting each other our photos of our Rune HeroClix figure.
Yep.
And I remember Tom's comment, well, somebody owes me 60 cents. And
that's such a Tom comment.
Yeah. And we, us fans were really excited about it. And the question is Topaz in Ragnar Thor, is that Topaz from the Ultraverse? We all say yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we say yes. I don't know the answer to that for real, but we say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rune, great character written by Ulm and illustrated by Barry Windsor Smith. and it was,
as well as Kyle Holtz. Kyle Holtz did a
oh
story.
my gosh, yeah, like early.
Yep. Curse of Rune.
And just so much cool stuff. And if you go back to Firearm, I think Cully and some of the other people would think that their art wasn't quite as developed as it got later. But James Robinson, that was the book that you literally bought it so you could read the letter column. It was so good.
Yeah.
His text pages were so good, and the story was better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and you guys made the right decision to end that run when he left. But those 18 issues plus the video, man, just freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, it's my goal, and of course you've expressed love for that period as well. It's my goal with Silverline, with this version of it too. And it's a daunting task. I know that, but my goal is to really try to recapture some of the spirit that that Malibu had back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Sorry, Billy, I just want to say, before we get out of here, I want to thank Nile and Billy. I asked to come on at the last minute. I've got a deadline too, so I'm about to cut out. But when I heard Roland was going to be on, I really wanted to jump on for this show.
Oh man, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, it's good money you spent to come on here. I appreciate it.
Did we cover this about the whole thing with Malibu doing the first Image books?
Didn't talk about that at all.
We didn't get into that. No.
Is Caleb waiting?
Yeah, Caleb's backstage. You know what? We'll bring him on. Why don't we?
Let me offer this.
He can take my place in the Brady Bunch squares here.
All right, Greg.
Oh no, never.
I think that's where Greg is. No, that's actually where Marcia is, I think.
We'll leave it at that. I'm more like Alex at this point. All right, guys, have a great night. Roll, great to see you, man.
Good to see you too, JC. Have a good one, man.
Caleb, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you guys holding up?
Good. We just Billy just wanted to touch base real quick on Malibu doing the first Image comics with Roland.
Yeah. So, we had Eric Larson on last week.
Yeah.
So Eric was talking about how it happened, hanging out with Dave. Dave brought them dinner, and Rob said, "Hey, would you publish one of my comics?"
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh yeah, I'll publish one of your comics."
Yeah.
You remember when that whole thing kind of was bubbling? That whole germ of an idea sort of was like, yeah, I think we're gonna publish these guys' books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, can you give us a little background on that? I know we're here to talk about your campaigns and all, but I think that's something that people find very interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, you were there, so you remember. It was a very exciting time. I mean, here, you had, arguably 7 top industry artists working at mostly Marvel, but at the top 2 companies jumping ship, starting their own thing. There was buzz, there was excitement, there was a lot of people that were just very excited about this, and so a lot of people don't really know about the Malibu thing, and they're surprised. And when I explain it to them, I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. So the problem was, these 7 guys jumped ship from Marvel and DC. They knew how to make comics, right? But kind of like I was talking about, for me personally as well, they didn't know what to do after that. So we got these comics, now what do we do? And I don't mean to suggest they're idiots or anything like that. It just, that wasn't something they knew. So Malibu, because of the relationship that mostly that Dave had with Rob, and then developed with the other guys, basically said, look, we'll publish you guys. And I think don't hold me to the title, but I think the official title is called Publisher of Record. So I think what happened is they just said, look, we'll publish you guys. We'll take care of the printing, the shipping. We'll handle the distributors, which back then was a few more than Diamond, Capital City, and things like that. Yeah. So we'll handle all that for you while you guys set up shop. We'll do this for as long as you need to. You guys hire the people you need. Once you hire the people you need, we'll just turn it all over to you, right? But this way you can start going, because they were afraid, or one of the fears was that they couldn't wait that long for the cash flow. Yeah. Right? I mean, if you're an artist, you can't wait, because you finish your book. Well, then you got to solicit it, then you got to print it, then you got to ship it, and then the money comes in. Right. And so the idea was, we'll get you to the market while you're setting your house in order, And then once you get your house in order, we'll just give everything over. Man, we had number ones running out the butt in our warehouses. We had all the special editions and Spawn posters everywhere. It was an exciting time because these guys were, they were rock stars.
Yeah.
And they were, of course, Malibu was located in Calabasas, and many of them were local, and it wasn't unusual that they'd stop by and talk with us. And so here we are. We see Todd and Rob coming through the offices, and yeah, it was a very exciting time.
Yeah, even them jumping ship, aside from maybe Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, though, and maybe Mark too, it made them even all more that popular.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you think with Jim Valentino, who was a really great, reliable artist. You know what I mean? Everyone liked him, and all of a sudden, but he did Guardians of the Galaxy, believe it or not, before it was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And then he comes out though with Shadowhawk. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, you guys, and he sold 500,000 Shadowhawks or something.
Yeah, I mean, all those Shadowhawk. Phenomenal. Yeah, and I think the thing is, and I think this kind of ties into crowdfunding as well. And I think this is part of why crowdfunding has a tendency to do fairly well is as Americans, we have a tendency to cheer for the underdog. Yeah. We like cheering for the underdogs. We like supporting the underdogs. We like to see the little guy take on the corporate giant with the David versus Goliath. And that's very much what these early Image guys were. They were the underdog. They were the David taking on the multi-corporations of Marvel and DC. And a lot of people were cheering for them.
Yeah. TJ has a good question. Hey, Nile, real quick. Who owns the original? There you go. Can you see that?
Niall, real quick, who owns the original Malibu versions of the public domain characters and the other Protectors characters?
Do you know, Roland?
Yeah, I know the answer to that. Yeah,
that's what we're asking you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought they were asking Niall.
Niall, do you know? Hey, Niall, why don't you answer it, college boy?
I think Caleb owns it. Caleb Thusat owns it. That's why he's here. We're putting those characters up for auction tonight, DJ.
That's Friday night auctions, right? Yeah. So the original characters are public domain. Anyone can do those. If Caleb, if he wants to do them, Billy, if you want to do them, Niall, I could do them. Anyone. In fact, R.A., the guy who wrote the Protector series, has done more work with those original characters. I think he's written a novel called The Steel. I think he's more than one, but Steel Ring is the one I can remember right off the top of my head. And it's just versions of those original characters. Now, the Malibu versions of those characters are owned by Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah. When Marvel bought Malibu, they bought the library. Now there were some exceptions. Obviously, some of the creator-owned ones that weren't really Malibu didn't own. They were just publishing. So Marvel doesn't own those, but they own the stuff that was part of theirs. Marvel owns the stuff that Malibu owned in-house. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely does.
Cool. And they'll probably not do anything with that either.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But hey, Roland, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Dude, I'm sorry I'm late.
Questions.
That's all right.
We'll have you back on and we'll talk some more Malibu and all that great stuff.
Yeah, maybe we get you. We get Dave on. Maybe get you, Dave on, and maybe even Jim Valentino. We talk about how we went from Malibu, how you started with Malibu, what Dave did, and then we brought Jim in, and that just leads to the next chapter.
Sure.
That could be a fun show.
Look, I I'm one of those guys. You got to shut me up when you start me talking about comics. So anytime you guys want me on, you just holler at me.
Perfect.
Thank you, brother. Let's
all right, man. 4 days left on K-List. Get it out there. Share it. And Roland, thanks again, my friend. It was great having you on. And,
thank you.
Once you're on the show, you're part of the family. So whenever you got anything coming on, let us know.
Sweet. I will do that. You can count on it.
And I'm sorry for being late, but I don't know if you know, my wife's iPad died, and she got on the phone with Niall about 10 hours ago.
All right. I'll let you know to me next time.
Now she's finally, I think, coming to what, because then I said, well, why don't you just get why don't you just get a MacBook? And that's a whole other thing. And then she didn't cook. So I'm like, what am I going to eat?
She forced you to go out and get something.
No, that was yesterday. I got
Well,
burned.
then they called me back. It was like, I told her to get a laptop, Nile, and I got thrown in the middle.
And now, what are you telling me? You put those crazy ideas in her head? No, so then yesterday, she was so cold yesterday, she didn't want to get off the couch. So she literally was under a blanket. So she's like, well, maybe I'll go make those ribs.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
like,
please do.
Boys,
Hey, Manny, what's up?
who wants to go to Burger King? And they're like, well, and Burger King's pretty close by. It's at a mile away or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, well, can we have Wendy's? Like, no. Wendy's and Kentucky Fried Chicken are 2 miles away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's so much further.
Yeah, no, she made chicken cutlets. It was fantastic. Scala, you like the chicken cutlets, don't you?
Dude, I make a mean chicken cutlet thanks
I
to my
bet you
mother-in-law
do.
teaching
But,
me
you
her
know,
recipe.
Well, my mother makes the best chicken cutlets in the world. And my wife will even tell you that. My mother, though, would make like 5 pounds of chicken cutlets or 4 pounds, right?
Well, that's how you have to do it. And you got to save your egg cartons because you put them on the egg cartons to drain them and it absorbs the oil. So the trick, that special taste you're tasting, is the toxic egg carton.
I love that. I love
that. I love your pretty little glass of wine there.
Thank you. Well, I'm like, I have a glass
look
of
at
wine.
me.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
I'm about to light my pipe up if it doesn't offend our young friend here.
That's fancy.
Lighting a pipe.
Why not? I told you, Scala, I'm going to get you into smoking a pipe. You ever smoke a pipe, Roland? You can pull off a pipe.
Caleb, you ever smoke a pipe?
You know, I'm gonna leave you with this. The only time I've ever smoked a pipe is on the battlefield.
Is on a what?
Is on the battlefield.
Yes, indeed. I go, Douglas MacArthur.
I'll explain that one at a later date, but yeah.
All right, let's hear that one, brother. All right, good to talk to you, Roland.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Roland. Good luck with everything.
Caleb.
All right.
Thank you. Mr. Caleb, what
GP.
the heck is going on out there? Conventions being
man.
canceled.
It's a crazy world right now. It's just a crazy world.
It's a crazy world indeed. But you know what? We can't let it get too crazy because we got to make sure Blevin's invited to our chicken cutlet dinner. Everyone's invited. Everyone in the country.
That would be a fun thing.
That's a lot of egg cartons, bro. I don't even know how I'm going to do that.
Like a giant. So here's a funny story about that. So my two buddies, Rock and Damo, you know Rock and Damo.
Yeah.
They eat like they literally ate like 5 pounds of chicken cutlets. My mother made. So them, my buddy Isaac, we're all going to come over for the weekend. And Debbie's like, well, I think I'll make a big gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I said, gumbo. I said, won't you think you make a chicken cutlets or something like that? It's like, what do you think? I'm be sitting over a stove for 2 hours to feed those animals? That's what my wife said. So
it takes a long time, dude, but that's how it goes. It's like if you're gonna make cutlets, you're making like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to like a mother-in-law, she'll be like, oh, if we go down and she's like, oh, I want to run to the butcher. I'm like, oh, give me some chicken for chicken cutlets. She comes back with like literally it's a big plastic bag with just a boatload of the thinnest cut, chicken breasts. They just slice up. You get like 6 cutlets out of a breast.
Oh, you do like
I used to be a butcher for those that don't know, so I do my own. But when I can get some, there's this place in the Bronx. I don't know, man. His skills way better than mine.
Dude, you were a butcher. Do you want to come and butcher a deer with me then? Next deer I shoot?
Yeah, let's butcher a deer, bro.
It's great. It's like 4 hours of just.
I had $75. I used to do them for $75.
$75, good price. I'll pay you $75 to butcher that.
Yeah, they'd come to me field dressed, and then I would do everything else.
There you go. I'll give you $75. I'll give you $100.
Oh yeah, no problem. And I'll
Sorry, Caleb, look at this. We're here.
My father-in-law is a taxidermist, so he can mount it too. Yeah.
Wow.
Are you at
That's what she said.
I'm in Ohio.
You're in Ohio. Where in Ohio are you?
I'm just south of Cleveland. So it's in between Cleveland and Akron area. But her family is up on towards Toledo, northwest Ohio.
I got hit by a tornado in Toledo once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was driving to Chicago Con. I had my Atomic Angels motorcycle that I was donating to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund to raise money for an auction. So I had the pickup truck and I drove the motorcycle there, and you got the alarm outside of Toledo, and I had to pull over into a truck stop at all. And hurricane tornado was not it was far. It was it was far, but we had the warning, so I didn't really get hit with a tornado. So that was a lie.
Yeah.
That was
So
what
you
I
just
said.
totally lied.
Way to talk it up there. Way to talk it up.
What a great lie, Billy.
What a great
What
lie. I know I was going somewhere. Then I'm like, wait
you
a
give the
minute.
guy a pipe and he thinks he's freaking, Churchill over here.
There I was.
Yeah, there I
There
was.
it
in the
was. The
middle of a
tornado was
tornado.
30
Right.
feet from me.
Right.
And I took my belt off and I said, "Get over here, tornado."
Yes, come this tornado. Come this
Son
way.
of a bitch didn't even
There
see
we-
it coming.
Here we are, Lakehurst, New Jersey. With the Hindenburg coming in. All right, let me go get my tobacco.
All right, so let's make this. Let's do the real deal here. Now that this child is left, Caleb, how the hell have you been, my friend?
I've been good, man. It's been crazy these past couple months, and I have been going back and forth with whether or not I want to do the crowdfunding right now, but I kind of just leaned into it because I figured we need some kind of normalcy going on. So I just said, what the heck? I'll do something special with it and make it about what's going on in a way. So we can talk about that.
You've been doing quite a bit of stuff though. I see like what was it? Something about like and correct me if I'm wrong, you had like all your comics digital for like $1 just like to get stuff out there for people to read.
It's actually
Is it something like that?
I still have it on my Village Comics Patreon where you can download all my digital stuff for free just by coming to the Patreon page. I'm just trying to basically build brand awareness and give people something to do with all the time that they have. So, I mean, I don't make a lot with the digital books, so I just figure why not let people read them, and if they want hard copies, they can buy them from me. So,
yeah, what's up, Art?
So I'm also doing this big thing with my Kickstarter right now. Before we get into what it exactly is about, but you can get on my campaign for $1. I compiled like this huge indie comics bundle, this like over 30 indie comics from a bunch of different creators that I know, and all you have to do is back for $1 and you get that instantaneously when you back. So I just wanted to do that for people that are stuck in their house and they want new comics and there's not new comics coming out, and why not check out some indie people that you might not have never heard of, and they might be the next big thing. So
that's brilliant.
A lot of cool people that I know just threw books in because I knew that people want stuff to read. So
yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's
brilliant.
cool to see a lot of artists coming together and content creators. I mean, even we were talking like, getting more shows out there doing this just to try to, even different times of the day. Like, hey, let's try to throw in some daytime shows in. Let's do stuff, And now let me ask you, with like the conventions canceling, because that's a big part of your business, hitting those conventions that you can get to. Are you trying to jump on any of these online conventions?
I'm trying here and there. There's a few of the ones that I signed up for that canceled. They're actually doing something digitally. So it's like, it's a good way to at least get that same crowd that's already been following that con to check that stuff out. But the problem is, it's like, I feel like most of the people that are looking at that stuff are creators, and they're the people that need the help really more than the actual audience, because a con is a con, man. Like, the digital stuff it's cool, like, for us to talk to each other and kind of support each other, but like, it's not the same as going down and getting to mingle with the people, because it's all about the interaction. So if you're not building some sort of interaction into the digital stuff, then I don't think there's an appeal as much. There's a couple ones that, like this Monroe Pop Fest that's up in Michigan, the guy's actually still getting some of his celebrity guests and stuff to do interviews with him, which I don't see as many people getting that. Like, they're getting a lot of creators and stuff, but they're not getting like who they had signed up to get on in the convention. So I'm trying to do as much as I can, but I don't know how much that's going to help me. So I'm like, I'll do as much as I can fit in my schedule, but I'm trying to focus pretty hard on pushing the Kickstarter. And I feel like if I pick and choose the people that I know, like you guys who know what you're doing with this stuff, I feel like this is more beneficial to me than necessarily going with the virtual cons. Though I am doing one a big interview with Comic Crusaders is a comic news website. They're doing a virtual con, and I'm doing something for them on Sunday. And I'm also Rose City Comic Cons does like their Rose City Junior for kids. Since I got the Super Cats thing going, they're also doing a Rose City online right now.
Yep.
So I did a reading of my first Super Cats book, and like you can get it for free with a digital coloring book to download and get print out for your kids. And that's going to be coming up on their website like on Saturday. So I'm trying to do some different stuff with it, because I mean we have to kind of pivot and adapt, especially for people like me, where it's like the only way I'm building an audience outside of doing the Kickstarters is, you know, going to shows and talking to people and selling the books. So this really, it's like this huge pause in the momentum that I had built up in the past 4 years.
Damn world,
And
yeah,
it's
it's like
like
the whole
this
world.
it's scary. Like, how long is this going to last? So,
You know, Caleb, you know I'm a fan of yours. I support your campaigns and all. And I just, as we had you on last time, I think you're an extraordinary young man. I really do.
Thanks.
Have you thought, and I saw people doing it. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to start doing like story time and do a YouTube video and actually read my book. If somebody is, I might even do it, you know, digitally and do it, you know, digitally wise, so I can, you know, do a voiceover and just have it on my screen.
Yeah, it's hard
that with some of your books, because I think
you got to be picky how you do it. Like for me with the kids book, it's easy to open and show because it's like 1 or 2 panels really. But if you're doing a comic, like one of the things I actually did with the Rose City thing, even for this, was since it's available, I put it available for free right next to the video. I stopped like the first thing in the video and I'm like, just go download it first and read along with me, because you're not going to get you're not going to be able to see what I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, but see, that's cool, because if you can that you're offering your books online for free, maybe you could say, all right, next Wednesday for what would have been New Comic Book Day, everyone, please go to this link. You can download my book for free, and I'm going to do a live story time. And
maybe I should do that with the rest of them too. Just
and then they could follow
like chapter by chapter or something.
Yeah, so you can all come and follow along with me, and then you could flip the book, the pages, and they can actually be reading the book on their computers, you know, on their screens, on their phones, tablets, etc. I think that would be a great idea, and I think you can get a lot behind it. Give yourself a good push with that. A lot of exposure.
I think you should get like a big chair, Caleb. A huge chair that hides it. And you're going to dim the lights. You're going to dim the lights. And you're going to start each video where you turn around and you just do that kind of. You'll need your pipe too.
Yeah, me and RT Bear will be there smoking.
I'm Caleb Thusat.
Yes.
Tonight we read Super Cats Halloween.
Are you
just get like, are you afraid of the dark? And do like that old, like, are you afraid of the dark with the sand stuff and the fire? It flames up.
Yeah.
Right?
With a purple light and a green.
Yes. I'm telling you.
I mean, that's like the name of the game right now, right? We're trying to figure out what we can do to adapt.
That is the challenge, though. It's like, what
story
can
time
you do?
with Caleb. I think people would love that. You can.
That's actually how they're selling it with the Rose City thing. It's like story time with Caleb Thusat with Super Cats, and it's like they
are doing that.
That's essentially what they did. They had me record like my own little video of me reading this first book, and then they're gonna have it up for people to just be able to watch with their kids. So that's a good idea to do more books with it. But
do more books. Yeah, do. I mean, the whole thing with Super Cats is that you kind of want people to buy that. The Halloween book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe give a little hint of that, 2-3 pages, but then tell some of your other books in your library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's you with cats, old chum?
I've had cats for like a majority of my life, so they just like when I think of characters, sometimes the stories come out with cats in them. So I don't know.
Did you see
cats, Super Cats? I have cats have crazy personalities, man.
They do. They're like tenants. Dogs are like part of the family, and cats are like tenants.
Yeah. You're sharing their space.
Exactly.
That's how that works. Like, oh, you're gonna sleep on my bed tonight? Fine, you can sleep on the edge.
Yeah, but I get that all the time at conventions because people see Nook next to Super Cats now, and they're like, "Yeah, so what's with the cats?" I'm like,
you should just get like a crazy like photo with you with like 30-something cats and be like, "Oh, they're kind of like my children."
Sophie, so my cat will come up.
Well, yeah, half the time you hear Billy's cat in the background, she's like, meow,
Yeah, she.
Steph Wilson likes cats. He was drawing a little earlier today, and they were talking about cats. I think he's lazy and doesn't want to take care of a dog. But what are you gonna do?
Well, Steph, if you like cats, you should get Super Cats. Well,
Super Cats is great, actually. That book, my boys love it. They love Super Cats. Their first book.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've already been getting like some of the people coming back from the first book and like telling me how they read it to their kids all the time and their kids love it and they're like freaking out about another one coming out. And my son is like bugging me because we don't have them printed yet, but he's like, "Where's the Super Cats? Where's Halloween Super Cats?" I'm like, "It's not here yet. I don't have it yet." But he's waiting, and I show him the artwork and stuff, and he's like going nuts. So it's pretty cool to see, fans coming back, and that was the whole point. Like I wanted it to grow with my son, and then hopefully, have other people attached to these characters and grow with them, and eventually, it's going to be an all ages comic book series that the kids will have like read since they started reading, and then I get to continue with those characters. So I'm trying to do something a little funky and different with that whole concept, and kind of stealing from, there's a lot of people that do that, but I kind of was taking the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter idea where the books evolve with your kid over time and making it simplified down to like when you first start reading.
Yeah.
And also like I don't see enough like really early age books introducing comic book style. And like, I think just when you're first reading, if you were able to see how cool comic books are, maybe you would become a more avid comic book reader. And kind of a way to let's cater bring in a new generation of comic readers from the beginning. So get them excited about comics right when they get to start reading a book. So
Niall, do you think we could show Caleb's video for Super Cats Halloween?
I think we freaking can do that.
Freaking yes, heck yes.
But yeah, what I was saying though, my boys, I'll tell them go get a book. And there's like 3 books they grab. One's called like That's Not My Puppy, which is a dirty book. And then, no, I'm just joking.
Wait, what?
And then they grab Super Cats and they grab some other book. Well, Carter, like I open it up, I got both of them sitting there, and Bennett just like goes on, but Carter's always like, "Yeah, woo, super, woo," because I'm like Super Cats. Yeah, they freaking love it. And then, it's you've got like that cardboard style pages and stuff. I mean, it's a children's book, but definitely a nice quality book, and it holds up to the abuse. I do want to let you know that.
That's what I wanted to do with that first one. I thought, 1-2-year-olds, you got to be careful to tear them books right into pieces. So
yeah. So I'm gonna play your Kickstarter video for everyone. Cool. And then we'll get into more detail about the book.
Maybe.
Oh, I should probably hit play.
I'm the writer and creator of Super Cats Halloween. This is a really fun children's picture book and comic book with artwork by Angela Odling of the fantastic webtoon series Detached. This is a story about relying on your friends when things are rough and never being afraid to ask for help in times of need. I think this is a message that's really timely with everything that's going on right now. And I'm excited to bring it to you in the form of this kids book / comic. Super Cats books are made for kids just learning to read. I would say the age range is about 0 to 7 years old, pre-K to K. They're a fun, unique way to introduce kids to reading through comics. And it's been proven that reading comic books is a great way to get kids interested in reading. So I decided, after reading a number of books to my son, to make a series for him and for fans that brings the comic book format to kids who are just learning to read. Each book in the Super Cats series evolves in complexity and scope. Book 1 was a children's board book, very simple. Book 2, step forward to a children's picture book / comic book. And by the time we hit book 4, it will be a full-fledged, all ages comic book series for kids. Times are tough for many independent creators right now. Conventions are being canceled and a lot of people are out of work. So in the spirit of the heart of this book, I will be using the rest of this campaign to help other creators by showcasing their work alongside of this book in updates and in emails, and sharing other people's Kickstarters that are currently running. I want us to kind of embrace each other as a community, and I will be using this campaign in that form. Kickstarters getting funded means money going to writers, artists, printers, suppliers, and crafters who need all the help they can get right now. That's why I felt obligated to continue launching this campaign even during this trying time. So please back if you can, but also please, please, please support the featured indie creators over the next month here. Even if it's just by sharing their work. With your help, we can all keep creating and we'll all get through this together.
Great video, Caleb.
Well done. Well done.
Well done, sir.
Thanks.
No, you got a great message. I don't know, man. I think you got a very easygoing personality. First of all, I mean, the art's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
so
Angela Ogilvy. How do you say her name? Ogling. Tell us about her and how did you come across her? And does she color it too? Does she do everything?
She does it all, man. She does her own like web comic that I kind of saw over time. I got to know her through other creators working on different projects, and I actually got to meet her at New York Comic Con when I went a couple of years ago, and I just, once I saw her style and I had this idea for the Cats book, I was just like, this has to be the person to do it, because this like whimsical, cute, like fun, it almost looks like it should be an animated series type art style. I said, this is like the perfect thing for the kids.
It's book. So original too. I mean, she's really incredible. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
It's like there's complexity in the simplicity, you know what I mean? Like, it's a simple style, but there's a lot going on there, and she does an amazing job. She took it to a different level, because I had certain ideas, and then she just brought all these fun things. Like, she started putting like making the dogs that are in it like this bad dogs club. She has this really weird, quirky personality, and like it shows in her art so well. And she like brought all this really cool complexity to the things that I had already written, but they wasn't there, like this bad dogs club. And then I started embracing that, especially with the Halloween book. So it's like this back and forth in a way. So I like to say that we're co-creators at this point, because this book, this series just wouldn't be what it is without the input she has had in it. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. And the
She's
color,
great. She's really great.
Yeah, we're printing doing like we're taking both the books and we cleaned them up and made them into like the black and white coloring book, and I'm actually printing it out for this Kickstarter. So if you get a higher tier, you can get like a 40-page coloring book that comes along with the other books that you can get.
That's
so
cool.
the book itself is actually going to be more of a comic book style this time. It's going to be like a floppy book. There's two reasons I did that. One is because dealing with printing board books from China right now is impossible.
Yeah.
And I want this to turn into a comic book series anyway. So I thought, why not just print in the States, make it like a high grade, nice gloss, hard, like it's not hardback, but we're going to get it like the thickest paper we can get so that it's still pretty durable. But, you know, it's a step forward. So hopefully, you know, you're reading to slightly older kids with this one. So they might not necessarily tear it apart as the CC itself. But it's kind of forcing me to evolve it a little faster than I originally intended. I was going to do it as a series of 3 board books, but it's just not feasible with everything that's going on. And it also just saves me a ton to print it as a comic locally versus trying to ship it from overseas, especially with, you know, dealing with customs and everything at this point is just something I'm not really planning on trying to figure out. So it's after I spent 2 years getting that process fine-tuned, I'm abandoning it for this book.
It's all for the better at this point.
I think so.
You know, and then you've got the super capes.
Yeah. A friend of mine that's actually the daughter of my kindergarten teacher. When I was in kindergarten, I went to high school with her and she saw Super Cats and she was like, "Oh, you want me to make capes for you? I can totally do that." So she's hand making capes, and there's only a certain number of them because of course you can only make so many, but we're doing that. And then you get like little masks, and then we're also did, I'll show it in quote unquote real life. We did little like Minecraft style Super Cats action figures. So there's gonna be the Meow and then an Ono, but those are only in the like mystery loot crate type thing. I'm kind of riding the wave of all these people do these mystery boxes and things.
Yeah.
So some of it's gonna be random, but I'm gonna make it so you can actually pick if you want Miwa or Ono, because you know I don't want people, especially for a higher tier, I don't want you to get something you don't want. So but there's only a few of those available because that's kind of a high cost item for me to throw into a Kickstarter, and it's something new for me. So I kind of want to test the waters by only doing a limited run of them.
Oh, cool.
But it's cool. I never had an action figure for one of my comics before, so this is kind of fun. And my son keeps trying to steal it. I'm like, I need that. I need that for work. Because the arms and stuff come off. I'm like, don't take it and lose the head or something.
Yeah. I have to ask, have you guys been gaming during this quarantine? Is that your poker table, gaming table?
That's we do puzzles and like strategy games, and you know, Pandemic is great to play right now.
Nice.
But yeah, I do a little furniture rehabbing myself, like that record thing. That used to be a dresser. I made it into an LP cabinet, and I redid that table with like comic book style art on it.
Nice.
But
very nice.
I try to be handy.
Arts and crafts.
Play Risk. I want to play Risk.
That game can take a long time.
That's
like you have to have like a freaking.
I got that Star Wars Risks that's like supposed to be crazy good, and I've never played it before. Maybe
now's
the time.
I've got the 50th anniversary Risk that I got as a housewarming gift 23 years ago, and I haven't opened it yet.
Really?
Yeah.
It's still in the cellophane.
Yeah, it's in a
wrapped
metal.
up?
It's
Yeah,
in a
say you
tin.
might want to see how much that's worth. Maybe you just
I
want to sell
know.
it.
Does it really works? It's in a metal tin and everything.
You never know, man. Some of those board games, you'd be surprised.
There you go, Tucci. You might be onto something right there.
Allies.
Axis and Allies.
Yeah, like Monopoly Junior, it kicks my ass, man. That's how bad I am.
All I know is I lose the Candyland to a 2-year-old more than any human should. I don't know. He's like, he pulls the ice cream card every damn time.
Ah, the damn ice cream card.
Every damn time.
Kevin gets like pissed, flips the freaking board on a 2-year-old.
Son of a bitch.
He's like, come on, man.
Niall, what happened to your green screen?
No, I just hit a stupid thing on my keyboard. I'll have that fixed in just a second.
Okay, Boomer.
There we go. Nah, it's the stupid hotkey, man. It's the hotkey. I hit the hotkey and it changed the white control. But now
So,
we're
Caleb,
cool.
you had 31 days left. When did you launch?
I launched on Tuesday. I
Brave.
normally don't do them this long, but like I figured we're all in quarantine. That gives me time to keep spreading the word and letting people find it. And we got Projects We Love by Kickstarter like the first day, so that boosted the exposure right away. And I really hate running campaigns for 30 days because I don't like to make people wait that long. But we're all going to be doing nothing for 30 days anyway. So
yeah.
And then I had that idea of promoting other creators and stuff. So I was like, I can every other day or something talk about another one of the comic books that's in the bundle and, you know, kind of share other people's work and try to help people get some more followers while I'm doing this. Cause I mean, it's hard on everybody to be locked up and not be able to be out there promoting yourself. So
Yeah.
I'll just see what I can do.
Yeah, man. Plus, it's kind of like a hard time now too, with so many people being laid off and everything. You know,
that was the scary thing when I was like, should I even bother? Like, are there's going to be enough people on Kickstarter buying stuff? But there's as many people as that are laid off. There's still people on here buying books. So
yeah.
I mean, I even put in the wording of the thing. It's like, if you can't back, it's fine. I totally understand. Just, that's why I put that $1 tier in there for people that might be struggling, but still want some comics to read. It's like for $1, it helps me out even just to have $1 thrown in there and you get 30 some comics. That's like, that should keep you busy for a little while. You can save one for a day. Every day you're in quarantine, you'd be good to go.
Yeah. And TJ James is asking if they still have it this year, would you be attending Baltimore?
I mean, I really want there to be some shows in the fall, but and realistically, with talking to other people, I don't think there's going to be very many conventions that even get run this year. It's just with everything going on, especially with how contagious this thing is. Like, I just don't see states like allowing that many people in a confined place. I would probably likely do some conventions if they started running them again. I mean, I already have a table at Baltimore. I already have a table at Rose City Comic-Con. That's a lot. I have like 8 or 9 more shows booked still this year, but it's like, I can't, I'm assuming the worst at this point, because that way I can spend my time focusing my efforts on the online sales, doing some other stuff. Because if I bank everything on going to Baltimore and then it doesn't happen, I'm going to be screwed. So
for sure. Yeah. But I mean, the way everything's going, I mean, honestly, I think we've got 2 months till we actually see what it's going to be like. And unfortunately, my cousin's a doctor in Chicago at a hospital, and we just found out today he's positive for it. So they actually have him staying in his office. He's going to stay in his office while he has this, and that's where they'll treat him because they're just overloaded. They can't put him in a hospital room. But hopefully, you know, too many people I know, but, you know, we're in the Northeast right now. As far as, you know, me and Billy, we're in the epicenter of it, but you get cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, those stuff. I mean, they're starting to get hammered. They're going to become just as bad as here from what the projections are. But yeah, for me, it's just hitting close to home because I've got too many friends and family now that are fighting it, and friends of family that have passed from
scary. It. I can't even imagine, like, if I tested positive and I had to be quarantined away from my wife and kid for 2 weeks, and they didn't even know what was going on. You know, I mean, it's just, that's what freaks me out more than anything. So
that's tough for him. His son and my twin boys, they were all born on the same day. So they're the same age. So he's away from his wife, and she's a doctor too. So now she's heading in. So, you know, my cousin, crazy. You know, my little cousin there, the baby one, his kid, you know, he's with my uncle and aunt right now in Indiana, you know, out of Chicago. And that's where they're, you know, keeping him safe because they're pretty much locked down there. It's just, this is crazy times, you know?
Well, it's like nothing we've ever seen.
It's
funny, it really is.
This is a crazy thing. I gotta tell you guys, for the past years, I always turn on the news in the morning and I'm like, every day it seems like it's more and more becoming the beginning of a post-apocalyptic movie where it's got the newscast showing you how everything is gonna basically end. And then like this shit starts happening and I'm like, now it's really looks like that. Like every day you're seeing, God, it's crazy. It seems surreal. It seems like we wake up and I feel like we're in a bad movie, basically. But
yeah, like it's sad when like you second guess. And I hate to talk. It's so hard to talk. Like you don't want to talk about these things, but it's like the problem is it affects everything you do now.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking the other day, I'm like, man, you know, I know like Taco Bell's open and I could really go for some Taco Bell, but it's like, shit, what if the person that hands you the food's infected?
Yeah.
What's the point? And then it's like, you know, now my wife's looking at like food delivery stuff. I'm like, well, what if they're infected? And I don't want to sit there and fucking stand outside, you know, wiping down all my groceries.
I did that the other day. We got a delivery and we just basically left most of the stuff like in the garage for a couple days before we brought it in, like as long as it wasn't perishable. It's like, this is such a weird time to live like so nuts.
Look what Heroinberg wrote. Can you put up Heroinberg?
I never thought
a comic book called 28 pages later.
That's brilliant, bro. Heroin, that's brilliant. Now is Heroinberg, are you a male or a female?
Well, the stuff they sent me is all female based, so I'll be honest. Let
us know. So we say, you know, he, she, they, whatever one identifies as. I mean, TJ, we know that TJ's a gal.
Oh, poor TJ. We always mess with
cigar
TJ.
And drinking.
Soft hands. TJ has soft hands.
Soft hands, jazz hands, and Lee Ditworth has jazz hands.
He has jazz hands.
Yeah, I never thought I'd live in a time where I have to like wipe down my package before I bring it in my house. It's like, this is just very strange.
Well, I do that after a jog every day.
I was waiting for that.
I'm like,
it was the wrong way to say it.
I was going to say that's what she said.
Yeah. Every time I go for a run, I wipe down, you know? And that's what you got to do. But so, I mean, what do you've got in the pipeline? Do you have, after Super Cats Halloween, are you going back to any more of your other traditional style comic books? Is anything new in the works for this year?
I have a sci-fi one shot I'm working on with the guy Marcelo Biat that did Nook with me. He's going to be doing the art.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
It's about a guy that creates a time travel device and destroys it in the same instance, basically, and you get to see the loop that is in between all that he basically stops himself from. He creates it and destroys it like within a minute. So you get to see that minute that's in between is like a whole issue. So it's fun. It's some crazy weird idea I had based off of like the idea of a portal device being turned into a time travel device, because if you could move things through space, then you were messing with space and time. So I started writing something crazy based around that, and this is kind of what came out of it. But he's done he did a sci-fi short that's in the back of Alter Life, the hardcover trade too, and I really liked how he did the sci-fi stuff. And he's already sent me some pictures of the portal device that he spent days coming up with the idea of what the thing was going to look like, and he's like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. So we're going to probably try to do a Kickstarter for that later this year, but
nice.
It's kind of in early development at this point. Like, I have a rough script, but it still needs to get fleshed out, and he's doing some conceptual work, but I'm going to keep doing that. And I still have the Zed series that I'm going to come back to. And I have a couple other ideas I'm writing, and another kids book series that I'm working on now too, but just trying to keep myself busy, I guess. I was going to use this year to double down on shows and get more exposure, but now I have to say, wait a second, that my plans have been screwed, so I have to start producing some more stuff. So I'm just going to try to
produce some more this year, and then maybe next year you can
it's hard, man. It's like, and then my mind isn't really in the headspace to be writing half the time. Right. So it's like, it's very frustrating. And I'm glad that I got Super Cats finished before
get drunk
broke.
Get drunk. I'm telling you, get drunk, because you'll hit that point where all of a sudden you'll be so inspired by an idea that you'll blast through it, but then you'll keep drinking, and then you'll like not be.
Well, you got to get drunk early. Like, you probably should start drinking around 11 in the morning. So then, like,
well, your wife's home now, right?
I was gonna say, this is not gonna work when I am the one watching a 2-year-old all day.
No, that's why you need to take advantage of it now, because I'm sure, is your wife now working from home?
She is. She's home for the next month, so it's
there you go.
Good, but it's not good. I mean, she's here, and you know how it is with kids, man. They get on a routine, and when that routine is disrupted, the kid is a different kid. So it's interesting to try to do all this stuff at the same time. But I'm sure I'm very fortunate, because we're in a place that she's still working, because her company makes pieces and parts for ventilators, so they're not going to shut that company down.
No, not at all. That's vital.
She's doing that. She works benefits for them, so it's like her job is secure. She pays, like, we don't rely on my stuff for bills, like, so I'm very fortunate that I'm able to sit here and create, and without the pressure, like some people are out there. Actually, they need to be making the money doing the shows and stuff to pay their bills. They were relying on that. So I can't even imagine if you were planning a show 2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 shows a month for the next year, and you're like banking on that to pay your bills.
It's great. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Heroinberg says he's a male, and we met at the Big Apple Con. Sweet. But he said, tell Caleb to mention that Angela Odling is from Pittsburgh, and Heroinberg is obviously from Pittsburgh.
She is currently have 21 Facebook friends in common with her, including our back cover artist. Who knew? And then the mob seat says he's our resident comedian. If my name was Caleb Thusat, I would so be a James Bond supervillain. Oh, mob.
I need to see the cat thing. I have a cat right here.
You should.
Now, you guys
buy my books. What?
You guys own a couple of. You have cats, right, Caleb?
So I have 2 cats. One of them died last summer, and one of them is dying right now.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So like next week, I won't have any cats. But yeah, it's hard. We've had cats for like probably 15 years or something. So it's going to be weird to not have any creatures in our house other than a 2-year-old. But
You know what? This might be a great time to get a new kitten.
I was thinking
stores
that.
aren't open.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking maybe it would be a good time not to have a cat.
It's always good to kind of take the break in between, take that break in between.
Yeah. But the problem is we've had like sick cats for the past decade, basically. So it's like the whole point of us having a cat in the first place is that the cat can kind of take care of itself. But if you're bound to taking care of a cat, giving it medicine and stuff, it's like, it's a whole different problem. So I don't know. If my wife can convince me, maybe I would consider getting another one. But
what about a dog?
Oh, hell no. I don't. If I already have a 2-year-old, I don't need another.
See, dogs are freaking out over this whole quarantine thing. I guess they're happy that you're in the house with them, but cats have been practicing social distancing for the past 10,000 years.
I don't know. I just can't wake up. I can't wake up to let a dog out. All that. It's just too much.
You gotta train them. You train them, man. They go when you say go. Yeah. That's how loyal they are.
Yeah.
I just looked up on the Risk 40th anniversary collector's edition, which I have in the metal box, and there is one left on Amazon. It's $309.
Whoa.
I could buy a good bottle of scotch with that $309.
I better throw that baby up on eBay.
I throw it up on the eBay. Let me see what's going on the eBay if it's up there.
Dogs are bad.
See? Board games, man.
Board games, see? Yeah. And it is the original. It is the original.
Nice.
Do you remember that game, Crossbows and Catapults?
I remember Crossfire.
Maybe that's in your wheelhouse. You used to shoot crap at each other's castles that you would build.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I love that game, and I was looking for one because I was going to get it for my son. No, man, I'm not spending $200, $300. It's like, and it's not even like it's not even a complete set. If you want a complete set, you're just like, it's not going to happen. It's like,
what about Crossfire? Do you remember that? Crossfire, you got Crossfire.
I remember the commercial.
Crossfire, and the kids are sweating their freaking asses off, and they're like, "Yeah, Crossfire." The kids are dripping. Like I'm playing that shit, and I'm like, "My thing."
Or do we just remember the commercial? I don't know.
I played Crossfire. I had it, and I did not sweat like that.
I don't know why they were so sweaty. I don't get it.
Crossfire. I gotta find that.
Anyway, the one I have, it's the lowest one is that's like mine new. It's still in the plastic. Is $224 with $17 in shipping. Crossfire. Let's see how much Crossfire is going for.
Crossfire from Hasbro.
Yes, we're supposed to be help promoting your book, and we're looking up video game.
Hey man,
Crossfire. Was it a board game?
Oh, you found
on YouTube.
Crossfire.
Mutual take 96.
Here it is.
Liberty Mutual.
Cut.
Oh,
Liberty Mutual.
Cut.
What's the line?
Cut.
I like that commercial.
Sometime in the future. Crossfire. You get caught.
Oh, yeah.
Crossfire.
I knew someone that had this, but I did not.
Oh, this is a freaking review. Who the hell's this guy? Get out of here.
Hated Crossfire. Come on, man.
I want the commercial.
Cross.
I want the damn commercial. Who is this guy?
Scott, what's up with this guy? What is up with it?
Well, anyways, we know what this is all about.
Yeah, and this.
That son of a bitch.
Crossfire. $32 new.
Crossfire?
Yeah.
They still sell that game? Oh, they do still sell
Crossfire launching marble board game Rapid Fire. Free ship.
Oh,
$32.99. Crossfire.
All right.
It sounds like the Youngblood of games.
Yes.
Crossfire. All right.
So anyway,
sorry, Caleb. But Caleb, I think you should do that and have that story time with Caleb.
Yeah,
I should do that. I should add it to my list of things to do while bored in quarantine.
Yeah.
Because I have that Patreon page and I like to add extra content. That could be something I do on there.
So there you go. Definitely could do that.
I would do it if I were you.
Next episode of Crowdfunding Comics, Nile and Frank Amazing play Crossfire for 2 hours.
Oh, nice. Blevins had said Caleb two cats.
Caleb two cats.
Two cats.
Wait, what?
Dude, YouTube, I'll tell you what, man. Every time I like start streams, right? YouTube gives me a warning that there's like issues because of everyone's home, and StreamYard does too. But man, there's a lag, bro. Like I was just looking at the thing, and I keep getting pixelated. You guys look good. I keep getting pixelated.
Yeah, you're all pixelated, bro.
Yeah, it's weird.
Crossfire.
It's that dial up, man. You gotta upgrade that stuff.
This shit's all upgrades, son. What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude, what's up with that?
I got 21 megabits per second, whatever the hell that shit is. That's upload speed, son. I got 300 and something megabits, or if I'm even saying that right, download speed.
Bro,
these people gotta get their
systems
together.
Porn, man. You gotta close the porn. You can't run it all at the same time.
Well, that's how I stay in good spirits. I'm watching it as I do the show.
Crossfire.
Yeah, it's a different Crossfire.
Oh,
oh no! Sorry. That's why there's a disclaimer, content disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
Keep going there, man.
We keep going there, bro.
Are you working tonight, Caleb?
If you consider this working, I guess.
Well, we got to promote it. You know what sucks is that, again, this is a real brave thing for you because this really is the hardest time in the history of crowdfunding comics to actually promote a crowdfunding comic.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm a little the other hard thing is that a kid's book is a hard thing to sell on Kickstarter, really. I had a rough time getting the full funding on the last one, which was kind of silly because I think that was just timing too. I think I launched at the wrong time, but I figured if I don't hit the goal with this, I'll just launch it again. I mean, I'll launch this one again by closer to Halloween or something if it doesn't go this time. But
have you thought about Indiegogo as well? I think we might have had that discussion last time.
Yeah, I was considering, that could be something to do if it doesn't work out. The only reason I end up going to Kickstarter usually at this point is because that's where I built my audience. So I know that those people already have the trust in the platform. So I know I can get those people to continue to back. And it's often proved to be right. I still get a good percentage of the same people coming back for the books. So, but if this dies out, why not? I could try it.
Well, go for that new audience. Doesn't hurt to go after that new audience, bro.
Well, that's the hard with the kids' book. It's kind of building a new audience in a way, anyway. So maybe the kids' books work better on Indiegogo, and I don't even know. So
yeah.
Hey, you never know.
And the cool thing is that you've got books already done.
Yeah.
So you could do that, and heck, if you've got 100 copies of, say, Nook, you could just say, hey, it's only 100 copies signed, signed, numbered, and you just do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad idea.
If the conventions are closed, why not do that?
Just make my own little pop-up shop in a way.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Limited editions of all your books the books you were planning and hoping on selling at the conventions. This spring, this summer, this fall, you just sell them all on Indiegogo, and you add shipping to it. The people are used to paying on Indiegogo for shipping too.
That is a plan.
Boom.
I might have to make that plan and use that.
Maybe not with a little certificate of authenticity or a little sticker that has a number on it of, you can print up a little sticker, with your signature.
Oh yeah,
sticker that goes in with,
We did that with Nook. Mainly because I wanted to get signatures from me and Marcelo, and instead of shipping hundreds of books to his house, it made more sense to do like a book plate. Sent that to him, he signed them all, and then we just threw them in the books.
Oh, nice!
I could just do like a limited edition book plate version of because I have Nooks. I have Nooks and Ultralights to sell.
I would hit with I would probably do them as 2 different campaigns. Oh no, you do both because you can buy them combined.
Yeah. You do like a Village
this is my
Comics
first foray into
bundle
Indiegogo
or something.
Yeah, I would do that.
That is something to consider. I think. I think we might see a lot more of that happening over the summer if there's no shows. In the
you're gonna have to. You got to
so.
expand your audience.
You could
know?
launch it in a few weeks while, like the last, 31 days left. Say you launch this. Now, again, we'll see how things are in 21 days. But say you launch it in 24 days. You say we got a week left. And you launch an Indiegogo for that. And then you have a link to the Kickstarter campaign, too.
Yeah.
And you could send that. You could then send to all your Kickstarter backers. You could send an update, all your old backers, too, on all your past campaigns. And say, hey, they're live on Indiegogo right now. Special signed and numbered edition, quarantine edition, or something you call it. I don't know.
Quarantine edition. There you go.
So Bill Tucci giving away all his.
Well,
best
I mean, in Nook, it's the Spanish flu that's killing people.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the influenza, yeah.
And the
it's Spanish.
And you got Spanish flu, and then you do have Nazis too. But I mean, yeah.
Now you got microscopic Nazis coming after you.
Microscopic Nazis.
Steph Wilson says, "Gotta go. Have to go bid on a risk set." Some Yahoo just listed for food.
I gotta love Steph Wilson.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Good night, Steph. Yeah, I'm gonna go. This is my 3rd stream.
Oh yeah, you got quite a few streams today, man.
Yeah, I was. I
don't watch anything unless it's ours.
Maybe we should have our next one. The 3 of us. It's just like, hey, you guys read comic books?
You guys read comic books?
You guys read
Have
comic
you ever backed a comic book?
You guys like comics?
How often do you read your books on the toilet?
How often do you read stuff on your phone on your toilet? That's the real question.
That is true. Long enough that my legs fall asleep. Is that too long? Is that TMI?
I think you probably should cut the time down a little bit.
Zaid Comics. Yo, what's up, Phil? How you doing, buddy?
Zaid.
So, anyways, all right, let me get going. I'm gonna go.
All right, gentlemen. Hey,
Caleb,
everyone,
great luck with it. You keep doing what you're doing, bro. Do that, dude. I'm serious. Do the story time with Caleb Thusat.
I'm gonna do that.
And you can post it on Facebook, all that, Twitter. You can come and download your free copy right here and join me at 12 p.m. or whatever, on Wednesday, New Comic Book Day at 3 p.m. Central Time or something like that or whatever.
You got the ideas tonight, man. I'm gonna steal these ideas and use them.
Ellie, should we host a new book show on Wednesdays?
What?
And we'll have people come on to read.
Dude. Well, Caleb, you got to come on our show too, because you're getting double exposure. That's a great idea. Story time. Do you have a smoking jacket, Nile?
Oh yeah, I got jackets.
Story time.
I'm gonna wear one of those. No, I'm gonna pull out one of my favorite jackets. It's from 1995. It's a Giants pullover. Remember those? The starter jacket.
Heck yeah, bro.
With the big pocket right here.
Heck yeah, bro.
Oh yeah, it's like a trunk in the front.
Yeah,
what?
I still got them bad boys, man.
Son. Yep.
That and the fanny pack together, you'll be.
Fanny packs are back.
Dude, I got a fanny pack from the 2004 U.S. Open. If you ever see my shows, that's where I put my cash in.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. He does. That's a true story. It's a true story. All right, gentlemen. Well, you all have a wonderful night. Everyone stay safe, stay socially distant, but take advantage of your FaceTimes and video feeds.
Yes.
Sanity that way. Keep spreading the word of crowdfunding comics. Make us really popular so we can become rich and famous.
Yes, Mob Seat said, Billy, tell Caleb how much you made on Kickstarter and Indiegogo separately. Oh, great thing, Mob Seat. So say with the She-Book, we did with our Kickstarter, which I launched, and we went with Kickstarter because that's what everyone knew. You know what I mean? Like you, right? That's your audience. Oh, you got to do Kickstarter. Okay. So we did Kickstarter, and right now with the She Return of the Warrior, when our Kickstarter ended, we were at $70,478. The Indiegogo right now is almost at $82,000, I think. On top of that.
Wow.
So think about it, old chum. I'm telling you, Indiegogo is a great. I'm leaning, but we might not do it for Hotaru, the next one, just because we want to ease our Kickstarter backers, because we have 1,000. We had 1,000 Kickstarter backers, and now we have 20. And now we have 1,600 Indiegogo backers. I want to ease those Kickstarter backers into us just doing Indiegogo, because I think Indiegogo is easier, but it also
on demand, bro. That's the selling.
And you got on demand. Yeah, you go on. I mean, we're on demand right now, and I think we're over $20,000 in demand in Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done it where
6 weeks ago or so.
Your Kickstarter over to
It's not
Indiegogo like that too. So I've done that before.
Yeah.
Have you been successful with that though? I've seen people go from Kickstarter, then they roll over to Indiegogo, and it's like they don't.
Yeah,
I
it was
feel like
you gotta push it,
it
though.
was nothing special.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you got to push it too, though, like everything else.
Hey, Billy, before we go, earlier we were talking about hero clicks, and it was mentioned about the she hero click.
I got him all right up there. You want me to climb up there and get him? I got I got the Sheen battle armor. I got the Rashi. I got the Tomoe.
Now that was part of the indie series. Hero
Yes. And that guy. So we did the indie series. I know it was me. And they did it at San Diego when they announced it, and they did it in front of my booth, HeroClix, and that guy Mark from CrossGen, because somehow he got the CrossGen characters in there too. And this dick, God rest his soul, I feel bad now because he passed away. Mark, he literally they wanted to do it at my booth because we were like the biggest independent things. And the woman's like, and here we are from HeroClix, and they did this big announcement, and they showed the HeroClix. They had him on my table, and this guy, Mark, takes the microphone from her.
Really?
Yes, all of us here at CrossGen, and he just totally took it over as CrossGen, like as a CrossGen Comics promotion. Like, wow, this guy's a killer.
Wow.
That bothered me. And then he passed away, and I feel bad now.
he played too much Crossfire when he was younger. Crossfire.
How's it go now?
Crossfire. You get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, I was like, I'm never coming on here ever again with you guys. We had so much fun last time.
What are you talking about? It is fun.
I'm not talking about anything, man. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? You like comics, weirdo.
Talking about comic books?
I like comics.
I did that to Debbie. She goes, ew.
Like,
We're in the kitchen, like, so, you like comics? She goes, ew.
I said that to my wife. She didn't even look up. She was just looking at her phone. I was like, all right, I'll go make dinner, dear. Sorry.
That's how you meet new friends, Caleb. You know, you got to do it real low. You know, like, so, he's like,
do it the way Billy's smiling.
and that's what remember Roland said he would do it. Roland Mann would say, he's like, hey, he'd go to other artists, like, you guys read comic books?
Yeah. Yeah, comics. All right, gentlemen.
All right.
It's been a lovely show, and everyone, we'll see you next week. I'll get the promos up for next
Roland,
week.
good to see you. Christina Heroenberg, of course, Mob Seat. Yes, Mark Alessi.
TJ Blevins, everyone.
Blevins.
It's always good to have our admins in there. Blevins,
Lee,
TJ Heroenberg, Steph. Yeah, I know you left. Thank you so much. Dave Comics for popping in. Mob Seat. Man, you got everyone's just so awesome. Thank you, everyone, for coming in, and Roland for popping back into the chat towards the end here. So everyone have a great night. Caleb, thank you again. If you got anything coming up, always reach out to me, and we'll make something happen, and hopefully we'll be able to hit some conventions this fall.
Yeah, and great luck. We will. But you know what's also cool is another thing. Just say San Diego's canceled, or a lot of the bigger, like all these spring shows are going to be canceled, maybe even June shows. I think, and if people will go, I think that people will want to go. I really feel, and I'm hoping, I'm being hopeful. Of course.
They've been cooped up. They'll definitely.
Yeah, they've been cooped up, and they found that we have a great way of testing. Hopefully, there's a vaccine. It seems so rapid of how these scientists from all over the world are coming together to do this. It's pretty great. And I think then that's just going to make the shows that do survive and do come out in the fall and in the late summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be huge.
Oh, yeah,
I think people are going to want to go,
I'm really hoping that's true, and I'm hoping that states let more people get together by then. But who knows? It's like I feel like every week we get a different story about
Yeah.
what's going on. So I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna see what happens.
Okay,
Hey,
Mopsy. Yeah,
yeah.
it just seems it's different, and the whole thing with the economy and all, and and I was talking on Paul's show, and it's literally they are hurting millions of people financially to save thousands of people. And there's something, pretty noble about that. Now, you know what I mean? But now a year from now, what will we be more terrified of? The coronavirus or the economic repercussions of it? Only time will tell.
Well, hopefully there's a vaccine. We won't have to be worried about it. So.
That's right. That's the whole thing. That's it. I love the idea of this plasma. There's a lot of hope to that.
Yeah.
That they're giving people the plasma and it's curing people from people who had it already. If you saw that, Caleb, that came out yesterday, Nile?
That's the first I'm hearing of this. I didn't
Oh no,
hear
yeah,
about
they're
that.
giving people. They're testing people now who've had it
Because they have the antibodies.
Coronavirus. People who've had coronavirus and recovered. They're using their plasma to cure people that have it now.
Yeah, they've also had some good results. They're continuing testing with that malaria medicine, or whatever they use to treat malaria.
Yeah.
They're seeing some good results with that.
Well, that's why they say that the cases are so low in Africa compared to how many people are in Africa and what the living conditions are, what the quality of life is that everyone takes malaria drugs. Everyone gets a malaria vaccine or whatever it is, or they all take medicine to counter malaria down there, and that seems to be working as a counter.
Gotcha. Who knows?
Here's hoping it gets cleaned up before we lose a whole year of conventions.
Word. Or worse. All right,
Yeah,
Caleb,
exactly.
great to talk to you, my friend. Do that story time with Caleb. Come on to our show and do it again.
Yeah, of course.
And Niall, I think you stumbled upon something there, buddy.
I think I did. I think I broke a toe on it.
Let me know.
An idea. All right, everyone.
Thanks
Have a
for
great
having me,
night.
guys.
Caleb, thanks again for coming on. It's always great to talk to you. Billy, my friend, I
Mob
will
C,
chat with you later.
if Mob C, can you type in? I've got hundreds of messages on Twitter. So you said check my Twitter messages. Let me know the date that you sent it so I can go back and scroll. Unless you just sent it now or something. So, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Caleb,
All right.
thank you. All right, everyone, have a great night.
Go to bed. Good
We're
night,
outta
guys.
here.
Bye, guys.
Great luck, cat.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
sorry about your cat.
Yeah, sorry about
Thanks,
that.
Billy.
Yep.
All right, have a good
Bye-bye,
one.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.